Gary, how's it going? Rita, hello. Elizabeth, how you doing? James, lots up. It's crazy, crazy good. Carolyn, hello. Good to see you. Rita got some more silver. Awesome. Paula, hello. Give it a few more seconds here. I want to thank Chad, who has volunteered to help out taking over Scott's duties. Um, Everybody make sure and thank Chad. He's not on tonight yet, I don't think. Um, Big stuff coming, guys. It's going to be a huge week. The pressure's on. Elizabeth's got her son watching. Better be a good one. Okay, pressure's on. Swampwatch, 11/2/19. Um, Boy, I tell you, I think I'm going to start with kind of a disclaimer. um, so I know we've got a lot of new people here. I think we've picked up a couple hundred members in the last couple of weeks. So I want to explain. Um, I was called by God to be a watchman in 2014. And ever since then, I've been trying to warn as many people as I can about what God has led me to as far as what's coming, the dangers that we face, the pitfalls. I have to say that from where we started in 2014, and just I've known since I was 12 years old that things were not right here, weren't right with our country, weren't right with the church. Um, and I kind of took a step back and realized I wasn't changing it by myself. And, I think like most people, you kind of go with the flow. You try and just get along and understanding that things aren't the way you'd like them. There was big contradictions in both the things that our country did and the things that the church did. And I recognized that pretty young. I was raised Catholic. I went to parochial school. I was an altar boy. Um, it gave me a pretty good handle on, what God wants, the meaning of the Bible. You could argue points all day, but the bottom line here, I don't care what religion you're talking about. God, I believe, judges us on how we live our lives. I believe, and I always have. Um, I saw the contradiction in the Catholic Church usually having the biggest, most beautiful building in every town, and not that I could see doing a lot for the people that really needed their help. They catered more to the money than they did to the needy, and I had a problem with that. Um, Fast forward to this journey, and um, you know, completely out of the blue. I mean, I rodeoed for 40 years. I never expected to be in this position, but it's a job that I've taken. I've said from the beginning, once I got into it, it's the hardest thing I've ever done and the most rewarding thing I've ever done. You can't, and I know that a lot of you guys now that have been around for a while are getting the same feeling, because when you do that, and your first goal in life is to help others, you can't believe the feeling that comes with that. And I've been pretty blessed in my life to accomplish some things that I wanted to accomplish, things that I thought were the pinnacle. And it it's I think it illustrates how God works, and you never know how things are going to turn out, because something that I thought was impossible, that I could never see, and I'm talking about now, this is the mid 60s, right? Mid to late 60s, when I kind of became awake of what was happening. And the Catholic Church, the most powerful church in the world, probably the richest entity in the world, and our government. And I have to really, the best thing I got from the Catholic Church was my parochial school education. It was like going to college in the 5th grade. After that, I breezed through high school and college because of how good the school was. But you see, again, that it's, there's good things there, but the real, the core of what it should be was missing. Uh, you know, if you listen to the priest, you go to church for an hour a week and go to confession, you're 100% good with God. And I would see these criminals, going to church, walking into the confessional, and it's a scam. You can't do that. So basically what they're saying is you can go murder somebody on Saturday, you go to church on Sunday and confess, you're good. No. I don't believe that's how it works. We're all going to be judged on how we live our lives every day. And God wants his church to be in us. He doesn't want us in these big fancy buildings wasting money on appearances. He wants us living the golden rule and going beyond that, because putting other first is even going beyond living the golden rule. That's what I think the church is going to end up being when we get through this. This isn't just about what's coming, isn't just about the economy and the swamp. I think this has a lot to do with the spirituality that we've been lacking, especially in the last 50 years. Part of the job, getting people prepared mentally, physically, and spiritually. And part of that, I think, is getting us on the same page with how we do things. It's like what we're doing here. I don't. If you've been around a little bit on the internet and YouTube, you'll see a lot of people making pretty good money. They monetize their videos. They have services where they'll give you more information if you pay them. And obviously, they all are asking for donations. I don't charge anything. I don't accept donations. my number one goal doing this is to do what God asked me to do. It's regardless of my financial situation, regardless of any other issue. My job, and basically 24/7, is to help others get through this the best way I can figure out how. That's how we started the Watchman page, because I got to see that we were running out of time, and I was looking for other ways to reach more people. And then out of the clear blue, Jamie Sanders reaches out to me, and this is how God works. We never met before. I think we were Facebook friends. And we've, I'm sure, crossed paths on Facebook. But she contacts me out of the clear blue one day. And I think 2 days later, I was doing a live chat that she set up. She knew how to do all that stuff. I had no clue. I had no clue what a live chat was. I actually thought I was just going to be typing back and forth. I had no idea it was going to be on camera. But here we are now, over a year later, with over 1,000 members and growing. And we have changed the lives of thousands of people now. The more people we get involved here, the more people we're going to reach. And we're running out of time, guys. So I wanted to clarify those things. And also that as a watchman, you know, a lot of guys like to wait. I mean, most people, I like to wait to make a call on something until I'm 100% sure. The problem with a lot of these things is you can't ever be 100% sure till it happens. So I'm always going to err on the side of caution, which means if I even think there's something on our horizon, I'm gonna tell you guys about it. Now, it may or may not happen, but I'm going to tell you about it just because a watchman can't be late. I can't wait till the day after. Oh, yeah, I knew about that, but I didn't want to say anything because I wasn't sure. That's not how it works. I mean, I'll be waiting forever because this isn't something like there's a manual I can go to or an almanac that's going to tell me exactly when something's going to happen, exactly what it's going to be, and how it's going to impact us. A lot of things there to keep track of, especially in this volatile world, because we're talking about a lot here. We're talking about the first ever worldwide financial collapse. We're talking about the draining of the worldwide swamp. We're talking about the exposure of satanic pedophiles who've basically been ruling our world for hundreds of years, if not since Babylon. Everything that I tell you guys, I believe is 100% true. Now, I've been wrong in the past. There's nobody going to get it right 100% of the time. But I think we're going to see over the next 3 months, everything I've been talking about for 5 years is coming true. And it seems like it's all happening at once. So that kind of brings me into where I wanted to go, which I talked a little bit about last night, is this whole thing about the numerology. Everybody knows about 9/11. Everybody knows about Fukushima was 3/11. We've got 11/3 coming up. These people like to do their events, for lack of a better term, on specific dates. Numerology, it all has to do with their Satanist beliefs. And they have to warn us too. That's part of the deal. The deal with the devil, I don't know. But supposedly they're supposed to warn us too. And like with 9/11, you can look at tons of movies. If you go back and research like the movies and commercials, cartoons, that there were all sorts of references to 9/11 There's whole channels devoted to it. Um, and 11.3.3.11 is another one. And there's a lot of chatter going down about this 11.3. And there's also a rumor that possibly, whether it was intentional or not, that the raid on Baghdadi foiled an 11.3 attack. That's one of the rumors coming out of Baghdadi. It's supposed to be something in Seattle. There's supposed to be a possible nuclear attack. I talked a little bit about the deep state and the deep state operating in a lot of different countries, and that they sometimes they can get control of assets, military assets, if you get people infiltrated deep enough. And something that I never thought I'd see was the infiltration of our own government. And if you look what has been going on since Carter, but Obama really ramped it up, was placing all of these agents, deep state globalist agents, in our government. And it's not just the government. It's politics, it's entertainment, it's news, the media, the judicial, medical, the UN. Look at Agenda 21. It's every aspect of our lives has been infiltrated by these people. You just look at Agenda 21. You hear all about, sustainable development. It's all about controlling us, tightening that noose of control until ultimately we have nowhere to go. They wanted 6 megacities in the United States, in the whole United States. 50% of the land in the United States was going to be for non-human use. We could not step foot on 50% of the land mass in the United States, according to Agenda 21. Of course, the worst part, that we're going to go from a population of 7.5 billion today to 500 million in 2100. They have, obviously, you don't get there without the powers that be doing something to get us there, because naturally it won't happen. Aside from some 10-mile wide meteor that hits in the right place, naturally it's not going to happen. So we've got all these things at work. We know 9/11 was not what they say it was. And for the new people, just go to the ae911truth.org, the website, watch the video on Building 7. 9/11 was, Saudi Arabia, Israeli Mossad, and deep state CIA operation. Those were all controlled demolitions. It's a fact. New York actually just reopened the investigation into 9/11 based on the evidence presented by this organization, Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, ae911truth.org. Post it on our page. Check it out. So now we're to the point where these forces, the globalist, deep state, whatever you want to call them, are backed into a corner. So, and we're at the I think the choke point where we've got the economy, we've got the swamp about to be taken down, and then as part of that process, the satanic pedophilia will be exposed. There's already the Hillary Clinton snuff video is already on the dark web. I'm not going to go over it again right now, but you can Google it, or anybody that wants more info on that can message me. It's pretty horrific. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. 800,000 kids a year go missing in America alone, the United States. It's disgusting what these monsters have been responsible for. And that's going to be important. That's kind of the mental part of being prepared, is being prepared for this really difficult information. It's what gave me my stroke. There's no doubt in my mind. For weeks, at least a couple of weeks before my stroke, I knew about all the things that they've been doing to these kids. And every day that went by, it just ate at me that, why aren't we taking them out? Because we had a lot of evidence that President Trump had, that he couldn't use it at the time. But you don't know that on our side, right? We don't have the luxury of having all the info. But he couldn't move any quicker because the deep state still had assets that were dangerous, where they could have taken out a lot of people, bioweapons, nuclear weapons. So they couldn't move. But that, internalizing that, my blood pressure was through the roof. I didn't even realize it. Anyway, it just goes to show you, though, how hard this information can be. You've got the most powerful, most wealthy people in the world. We're talking about the Pope, the royal family, several United States presidents, all involved in this. Torturing and murdering children. Lots of children. It's part of, they're Satanists. And that's a fact. You guys can look on the internet. Look at all the jewelry they wear, the satanic jewelry. You can find all of this stuff, all the pedophilia evidence, all of this, the signs and symbols on the FBI website. It's common knowledge. And you've got people like Hillary Clinton and Maxine Waters wearing satanic emblems in public. No fear. They thought they had this thing done. They thought Hillary was going to win the election, and if she would have, it would have been a whole different ballgame. So the mental part is you can't be ready mentally if you're not 100% awake. And the hardest part is, it's really hard to think about your government being responsible for 9/11. That's why I like to start with a lot of people there, because there's so much physical evidence to prove that 9/11 isn't what they said it is. 3,000 architects and engineers have signed this thing saying that the planes did not take down these buildings. Building 7 was never hit by a plane. Never in history has a concrete and steel building gone down because of a fire, number one. So Building 7 couldn't have happened the way they said it happened. And how did that fire start? It doesn't seem odd. Oh, wow, we have 2 planes hit. Oh, and now in the basement, we got a fire going. It doesn't jive, guys. And there's a ton more evidence. Watch the video. But now we've got what's ahead. So there's no doubt in my mind, if they could let off a nuke in Seattle or anywhere, but they'd rather have it in Washington and try and take out President Trump. But if they could, they would. There's nothing these people will not do. I think they were disappointed the body count wasn't higher on 9/11. That's what they feed on. They feed on that fear, on that death. That's, doesn't it strike you as kind of funny that everybody was screaming and yelling about how crazy President Trump was and he's going to start World War III, warmonger, blah, 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 blah. Nobody has done more to bring peace to the world than President Trump has in his first couple of years. Even Assad, the president of Syria, said that President America look at his transparency about what he's being open and honest with the world for the first time in my lifetime. Well, except for JFK. After JFK, forget it. Even Reagan, you're going to find out, was a rat. The Bushes. Horrible. Bush 41, Bush Sr. He's bad as Hitler. Some of the things he's been involved in. Hitler had a fairly short run. Bush Sr.'s been around since before the Second World War. I believe he was in the initial group of people that became the OSS, that became the CIA. Daddy Bush was part of that crew. And he ended up running the CIA. But I think he was a CIA operative from college. He started young. They have videos on all these people. This isn't speculation, guys. There's hundreds of hours. Epstein Island was a honeypot. He filmed everybody that went there. Not just the island, but he had a mansion in New York City, had a mansion in Florida. They're all wired. Everybody that went there, everybody that was involved in this, got filmed. That's how they got people like McCain to turn. They got another traitor on camera. I'm not going to go into it, but some pretty horrific stuff. When you got them on film like that, you own them. They can't ever turn against you. They're going to do whatever you tell them to do because they know they're done if it ever comes out. And that's the exact, I think, home. That's our saving grace. Because they know that the kind of things they were doing are things that won't fly. I'm in the belly of the beast. I live 25 miles from San Francisco. Most of my friends, before this all started, were liberals, were Democrats. We don't have most of those friends anymore. But having said that, I don't know a single one of those people that have ridiculed and abandoned us who will vote Democrat again when they find out the truth. When they find out about what these people, mostly Democrats, mostly liberals, have been doing to our kids. Torturing and murdering our kids. Drinking their blood for adrenochrome because they think it makes them live longer and it gives them a high. It's disgusting. But it's part of being mentally prepared for this because you don't want to not be awake especially about the pedophilia because that's what's going to rock you in your tracks. You don't want to find out about this after the shit hits a fan, after the banks close, after the rioting and looting has started, if it does start. Again, we prepare for the worst. Worst case scenario, power goes out, stores run out of food, banks close, and we've got rioting and looting in the streets. That's worst case scenario. I don't think we're going to go that route. I think President Trump's way ahead of this. I think there might be some isolated rioting and looting. Isolated. I don't think we're going to lose millions of people like would have happened if Hillary got elected, because then it was going to be a civil war. It was going to be ugly no matter how it went down. The military say they weren't going to take power. They knew what their plans were. There's been, as long as there's been a deep state black hat group, there's been a white hat group also. Not as well funded, not as well staffed, but a group of patriots working behind the scenes trying to counter what the black hats have been doing. And here we are on the verge of taking this whole thing. But we're not there yet. And tomorrow could be a big day. So there's all sorts of warnings about 11-3. There's all sorts of indications that it's probably going to be, if there is something, a West Coast deal. Specifically, LA, Seattle are the two main things that, and Seattle is even the biggest, probably as far as the warnings go. I think, like has happened up to now, they've been ahead of everything that the deep state was trying to pull has been thwarted by the white hats. They've been a step ahead every single time. I think that's part of what the Baghdadi deal was. I think that Schiff and Pelosi led the intelligence. I think that's the reason they were over in, I don't know even if they said they were in Syria, but I believe that's where they went, or somewhere to meet this guy. And I think it may have had something to do with tomorrow. And then you've got President Trump, if you'll notice, think back to the interview he did after they bagged Baghdadi. There's a couple of things that he mentioned, and it was really clear. 11 kids, they say, were removed from the house, and then 3 children died when he exploded his vest. 11, 3. If you follow Q, you understand this is how these comms work. They through tweets, through interviews, they put out these messages that need to be decoded. And this is as plain, clear cut as you can get with gematria. And it's, again, Google it. If you have any questions, I don't, because most of the old timers here know all about it. But any of the new people, it's basically a code that basically the black hats, the globalists, the deep state uses to communicate with each other, and also put it in front of us. And now Q has started using it, and looks like maybe even President Trump. So what I think he may have been doing is telling them, the black hats, I just foiled your plan for 11-3. Now I'm coming after you on 11-3. So we're going to see tomorrow. We talked about Bull Pony, and he's saying this week is going to be huge as far as a downturn in the stock market. He's calling for at least 50%. Now, that may not all come, probably won't come all next week, but it's going to get started, I think, next week. If President Trump, and I think I mentioned last night, is the trigger for the stock market crashing on Monday, is it going to be some kind of a false flag, an attack, bomb, shooting at the football game? They've talked about the football game being a target in Seattle. Is that going to be a trigger? Or could it be that President Trump is going to jump their gun and bring them down, and that's going to be what triggers it? Because guaranteed, when we take down anybody in that top probably 25, they're not going to collapse the economy because now that it's over. The economy is their last bit of ammo, and they're going to use it. They're not just going to let it slide. Do you think they're going to, oh, well, we're caught, we give up? It's not going to happen. They're fighting to the very end. So if it happens that President Trump is doing at least the beginning of the takedown tomorrow, expect the economy to go. And if there's any kind of big attack, can you just imagine a nuke going off in LA or Seattle or San Francisco? What do you think that would do to the economy? So we got to be on our toes, guys. Again, I'm not saying 100% anything's going to happen, but Bull Pony on the economy has been, he's gone kind of up and down, right? But for an 8-month period last year, he was dead on for 8 months. And he's gone through a little bit of lull here because and manipulate, especially since President Trump took office. So we got to cut him a little bit of slack. But I think if something goes down tomorrow, it's going to be too big for anybody to stop because the economy's so weak right now anyway. Like I've said, there's 50 triggers that could bring this down. Deutsche Bank, the derivatives, any of these big banks going down. And Deutsche Bank is on their last leg. They got $41 trillion in derivatives. They go down, it takes the EU down, it takes the whole world economy down. They're so interconnected, all of these big banks. They're so manipulated, they're so corrupt, and they're insolvent. They can't afford, well, hell, they couldn't afford a $3 trillion hit, let alone Deutsche Bank's got $41 trillion. Citibank, Chase, and Bank of America all have 47, 48 trillion in derivatives. My God, there's 1 quadrillion derivatives worldwide. When the derivative market goes, it's over. We couldn't stand a 2 or 3% derivative crush. When you figure it's $1 quadrillion, guys, it's astronomical. And it's all happened because of the greed of the banks, making these crazy bets, these crazy instruments that they could sell, basically junk, garbage. And that's the problem now with the Federal Reserve. You heard about the repo program, and they are giving billions away. I think we're at we're almost at 300 billion. Just in a matter of a month. It was 700 billion to bail them out in 07-08. We're halfway there without any congressional approval. And the whole problem is they won't lend to each other because they're worried about the collateral. They know it's garbage. It's worthless. Which means everything's on paper is worthless. Your bank accounts, cash is going to be worthless eventually. Pension funds, 401ks, money market accounts. Anything on paper is going to be virtually worthless. Pennies on the dollar at best. So why would you not protect yourself right now? I mean, I've got, I think, $100 in the bank right now. Mine's in either, in a safe or somewhere safe outside the system. My ledger, a little bit on Coinbase. Because I'm protecting my assets. Because the system is coming down. It's a mathematical certainty. Worldwide record debt. Worldwide, just not us. We're one of the worst. But we can't survive this. This money's never going to be paid back. They're going to declare a reset eventually. So, we've got to be ready. Whether it happens Monday or the following Monday or next month, it's coming. It's just a matter of time. So, number one, I think we're we're about as close to the end as we're going to get. I mean, this economy. Guys, if you're watching the stuff I'm posting, and everybody should be looking at these articles and videos I'm posting on the economy, especially if you're not on board with it, if you still have some doubts, because if you watch a couple hours of these videos, you won't have any doubts. If you do, message me, because anybody with an IQ over 50 that has an open mind is going to get this. There's just too many things going south to hold it together. This isn't just me. There's hundreds of guys out there saying the same thing. So why would you gamble? Why wouldn't you buy insurance? And that insurance, physical silver and Litecoin. That's your insurance. Because when you figure, let's say you've got a pension. Let's say you've got a couple of $1 million in your pension. And that's what you're depending on. I know guys who've put their 30 years in, and they're really close, and they got their eyes on that big check they're going to get every month. It's not going to come. All these 0% interest killed the pension funds. They couldn't survive it. You need 8% return to break even. And with a zero, you can't do it. They knew this. They knew this was going to happen. One Litecoin is about $60 today. And a lot of analysts believe it's going to be 3 million by 2024. I think that's a conservative number. I think it's going to be higher. But it's something that if you just have a few $100s, you can make up whatever you were going to lose. Why wouldn't you? Almost everyone can put together, even if it's $30, $40. Go on Coinbase and do something this weekend. Open an account. Something bought. If this does go down, like Bo Pony says, and like I've been saying for 5 years, it's coming. I think it's here. We're close either way. Don't get caught. Don't miss the boat. Don't be that person, who heard this message and procrastinated and then missed the boat. Because when this goes down, silver, gold, any of the better cryptos, people aren't going to want to sell them. Because the price is going to be going up so fast, nobody will want to sell. And that's going to drive the price even higher. It's going to feed on itself. Don't miss the boat. Do something. I just today posted on the Watchman page, Coinbase address, SD Bullion, and JM Bullion. There's no excuse, guys. You can do it all online. You can do it. It'll take you half an hour to do everything you needed to do. Don't forget the extra food, the extra water, the medical supplies, ammo. We talked about seeds. Most of this stuff, guys. But you don't want to be in a situation where you do and not have it, and that have a negative impact on you or your family. That's going to, because you want to save a couple of bucks, or you were too lazy to run down to Costco. 50-pound bags of rice, 50-pound bags of beans. Fill your empty milk containers, your gallon milk jugs, and your soda containers, your 2 liters, with tap water. You can do this relatively inexpensively, but do something. I don't think we're going to have an EMP terrorist attack. I don't think there's anybody capable of pulling that off. But we could have a natural. The sun's doing a lot of crazy things right now. So to have, a solar flare that caused an EMP is a possibility. I have a feeling God is protecting us from these things. I have a feeling God's protecting us from a nuclear strike. Um, I think we changed our course with God when we elected President Trump. And anybody that's been paying attention, his number one priority when he took office was to eliminate child trafficking and pedophilia, and made a commitment to attacking Roe versus Wade. That had an impact, I believe, on how this was all going to play out. I've said this before. I think when this happened, we took Armageddon from the physical realm to the spiritual realm. And I think it's being played out right now behind the scenes. Armageddon is happening right now, I believe. I believe President Trump is going to mitigate most of the bad things. I believe we're headed into the greatest transfer of wealth in history. This isn't just the greatest financial opportunity in our lifetimes. This is the greatest financial opportunity in the history of mankind. This will never happen again. It's never happened before. It'll never happen again. God wants his people controlling the power. He wants us in a position where we can take control of our world. Look at the executive order from 12/21/17 that gave the government the right to seize the assets of any person or corporation involved in human trafficking or corruption. Amazon, Twitter, Facebook, Google, all going down. Going to seize the assets of all of them. Rothschilds, Rockefellers, all this money you heard about Obama and Clinton's, hiding. They're getting stripped of every penny. God is taking their power, and that's how they've got most of what they got, is by using that money for evil. And he wants it back in the hands of Christians that are going to use it for good. Paying it forward, putting others first. That's why I'm telling you guys, get extra food, get extra water, get extra Litecoin and extra silver, because we're going to be able to use that in paying it forward and putting other people first. If we get in a situation where the store's closed, not everybody's going to be prepared. We're going to have to help out. The same thing as we go through this recovery. We're probably going to go through a rough patch. People that are prepared, I think, are going to thrive. The ones that aren't are going to struggle. Don't make your family struggle when you don't have to. Now, I understand if it's a thing you just don't have the funds, you don't have the funds. But you can put it on a credit card. If you can sell something, don't buy cigarettes or coffee, Starbucks. Most people here where I live, they spend $100 a month on Starbucks. Take that $100 and buy some Litecoin. Buy some 1964 or older dimes. Get them at JM, SD. Local silver dealers will have dimes. They're going to be great to barter with if things go bad. If we go worst case scenario, I don't think we're going worst case scenario. Then you use them in the recovery, right? All of this stuff, it's not like we're losing anything. I've got, I think I've got 10,000 rounds of 5.56 ammo. I'll use it over the course of the rest of my life. I like to shoot. The food you can use. And the silver and Litecoin, trust me, in 6 months, you're going to find a lot of good uses for it. So this whole thing is about coming to the end, being close. Again, whether it's Monday or next year, it's happening. It's in the works right now. If you're not seeing it, you're not looking. Anybody who's struggling with any of this, feel free to message me. Some people think that I'm not the most approachable person. But trust me, in this realm, that's what I want. I want you guys to reach out if anything at all is not seeming right to you, or you're having trouble putting the pieces together. I spend a lot of time doing this and have now for 5 years. I mean, I'm doing this 16 hours a day, pretty much 7 days a week, and I don't want to do anything else until this is done. I don't do anything else. I want to finish this stuff every day that I think might help us at some point, either now or so. Knowledge is power, guys. Don't ever forget. Keep an open mind about everything. Use your critical thinking skills, your discernment as you're going through this process. I don't want you guys to believe me just because you think I'm a nice guy or whatever. Try and prove me wrong. That's the best way to approach this, is looking at both sides. Every once in a while, I'll hear somebody come up with a theory that, oh, President Trump's a deep stater. I don't believe it, but I've actually taken a couple of looks at some of the things they've put out there just because I want to be on top of it. There's nothing to it, but it doesn't hurt to look. Now, the other side, the left, the Democrats, we're seeing more and more. I think that's why we're seeing the rise in the membership is they're starting to look for answers, because their answers they're getting from CNN and MSNBC aren't making sense anymore. So now what does? You're going to see a huge spike in viewerships of some of these YouTube channels and places like here, where people are trying to put out honest information about what's happening, as opposed to the propaganda from the CIA that you're getting from the mainstream media. All Project Mockingbird, guys. Okay, I don't want to go on too long here. I've already went long. God is in control, guys. No fear. Yeah, Sandra's talking about her husband in the Catholic Church. Yeah. When you got to see it up close, and I don't really think you had to look that hard, but it goes back to that thing, like for red pilling people. You know, nobody wants to believe that our government could be responsible for 9/11, just like they don't want to believe. I never cared for Hillary Clinton, but I never believed she would be capable of the stuff that she did in this snuff video. It's sickening. The NYPD found this video on Weiner's laptop, Uma Abedin's husband. There are guys, these detectives, many of them hardened, 25-year veterans of the force, are still going to counseling because of the crap they saw in this video. It's horrific. So it's understandable. People don't want to believe it. But there's not going to be any choice here. And we almost have to force feed ourselves right now. If you're having trouble with it, dig into it. Don't avoid it, because it's coming. It's going to be 24/7 on the mainstream media. When this breaks worldwide, there won't be a place on the face of the earth, unless you're in a third world country, that you won't know about this. And then if you throw in the economy, just think about it. Yeah, our educational system. I mean, Jesus. The good news, all these things are going to be taken care of. by President Trump's second term. We just got to get through this rough patch. Fiat money, never in history has fiat money ever worked. And that's what we got. The US dollar is a fiat dollar, just like all the other currencies. That's why we're going to a gold backed currency. Yeah, JC's talking about the Economist magazine cover, uh, warning about 11.3. 11.5 also, guys. I think 11.3 and 11.5 were going to be part of the same false flag, whatever it was going to be. And I think it might have got thwarted here with Baghdadi. Yeah, yeah, the Epstein's back. I mean, that's awesome. We want people talking about Epstein. The Pope, Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, all went to Epstein Island. For what? You're going to find out. Mike's asking about Daniel Lee. I uh, I think that um, I don't think you can attack people like Mark Taylor with his history unless you got evidence. And I haven't seen any evidence. I hear he knew a guy, or he's a spiritual advisor for a guy's ministry who he supports another guy who they use tarot cards in their services. I'm sorry, my justice fly in any court. You got to have something hard on somebody like Mark Taylor. This isn't just somebody off the street. He predicted President Trump before President Trump announced he was even running. So, we'll see how Daniel Lee works out. But so far, I see a guy who's trying to make a name for himself by trying to take down people that are bigger than him, is what I see. Um, and if and I've even posted on some of his videos, show us the evidence. And so far, he wants to talk about all these videos he's ever done. Put it down. Do a video where you present all of the evidence against these people that you're attacking, or shut up. That's my answer. And no, an EMP won't kill you. And here's the other thing about an EMP. There's a lot of fear porn out there, guys. One of the things you'll hear, I'm sure all of you have heard it. If we get an EMP that takes down our grid, we're all 90% of us are dead within a year. You guys have, I'm sure, have all heard that. It's crap. I mean, it could be possible if we all sat in our houses and didn't do anything, but 90% of people aren't going to die if we have an EMP. Some people are going to die. There's going to be, if the power's not on, the water's not running, sanitation is really usually what gets you in that situation. But if you're in a city and we have an EMP, get out of the city. Don't wait around until things are bad. Get away, because if there's no power, there's not going to be any food. There eventually will be rioting and looting. If that happens, you want to get away from a populated area. It's common sense. But that's all part of the mental preparation also, is having a plan when this stuff goes down. And you have, is it an EMP? Some kind of other terrorist, bioweapons? Just the economy going down. The swamp draining. They all could create some dangerous situations. And you got to have maybe a different answer for every scenario. But thinking about it after the fact, the communication systems are down. Email, text, phone could go down in an EMP. Then it's too late, because you can't get a hold of anybody. You got to make your plans now, guys. Can't wait. Yeah, I didn't want to get into the red shoes. That's a whole nother deal. Another can of worms. Disgusting. Uh, I don't think there's any worries about anybody traveling through the Denver airport. It's what's underneath the Denver airport that's not. And I think they're in the process of taking out all those bases. So it might even be cleared by now. Sandy saying Bush 41 was born in Germany. Could be true. Bush 41's dad tried a coup after, I think in 33, after the Depression. Didn't work. Ended up funding Hitler, the Second World War. These guys were as globalist as they come. All satanic pedophiles. Sandy's got it. Cousin Monica, how you doing? Walnut sauce. Yeah, look up walnut sauce um, in the pedophilia world on. I think you can get it on the FBI website. Disgusting. Yeah, I'm just about to get off here, guys. Yeah, JC's caught the 11-3 with President Trump. Yeah, eight Chun is back on, but they're having some trouble. It's going to take a while to work out. Um, God, there's something. Oh, before I forget, Joe Mespas, he's the one that did the video, the Q, the plan to save the world. I just posted it a couple of days ago. Great video. Been around for a couple of years now, I think. Maybe a year. Um, he just announced that he is stepping away from his Twitter and I think his YouTube channel. His YouTube channel is still going to be up, but he won't be, I think, posting anymore. That's something else that seems odd, that timing, that it was today or yesterday. He made this announcement. Doesn't that seem odd too? My gut feeling all along was he's a military intelligence or a Q collaborator. Just he's too good, too smooth, too dead on, um, and that to me, if he is in that group, that he's walking away now shows me that maybe they are ready to take these guys down, and they don't need him doing that anymore. We'll see. See how it plays out. Judy, how you doing? Tom? Okay, so Mike's asking about people to follow. The best thing the new people can do, go to my page and look at what I'm posting, my personal page. On my personal page, you get everything that I post for both Watchmen and for my friends. Um, that'll give you an idea, right? There's probably 20, 25 different channels that are solid, that information. Place to start, and then you can branch out from there. So, good question, Mike. Yeah, B of A having problems. Uh, this last couple of days, there were several, I guess, BAs where the B of A's where they were just down. I guess the ATMs too. That's not a good sign. Yeah, all of this stuff is out there, guys. You'll find everything that you need either on my page or the Watchman page. And we probably have um, 300 hours plus of Watchman live chats too you can look at. Somebody's asking why they don't drink animal blood. Uh, because it's different. They want that human. It's the whole thing. The fear, they feed on that. It's how sick these people are. Where we go one, we go all, guys. Yeah, don't forget the ledgers for your Litecoin. Ledger Nano S. Message me if you have any questions. Yeah, there's Bix. Bix is really good. Bix Weir. He's really good on the cryptos, but his analysis on everything else is off because he's not taking into account the things like the pedophilia and the swamp going down. How that's going to impact the economy and the price of currencies. Candace, how you doing, Helen? Okay, guys. I've gone long, so I'm going to wrap it up here. Uh, Remember, fear not. God and President Trump are 1,000% in control. Be on your toes tomorrow. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow night at 5.